Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing? Happy New Year. Again, if you are watching live, I'm Connie Kercher. I serve as an elite entrepreneur coach, and this is going to be the first live video of 2025. And so, if you are watching live, make sure that you give a thumbs up. Make sure that you have subscribed. Super excited that you're on my channel. If you're watching replay, let me know in the chat where you are watching this from. So, as you can see in the title, what this training video is going to really be diving into is what you manage can only be managed because you're measuring it, right? So the title is, what gets measured can be managed. And so I want to talk about the importance as a small business owner of you managing and tracking different data points so that in the long run, you are not managing a business that is just chaos or unknown numbers, unknown KPIs, unknown outcomes, because you have this fresh start, right? Even though I think every month you have a fresh start to any business that you are diving into, but you really do have this quarter one for you to stop saying, I'm going to get out of my head and onto paper, Connie, and I'm going to take some action steps to actually track progress, track meetings, track ROI, track engagement, and see where I'm able to get growth. So let's just start at the beginning of the importance of you actually figuring out why tracking is so important, right? Like why measurement actually matters, right? And then we'll talk about the management part of it. What I have found is that when I'm able to have a monthly cadence, so I'm going to lean into that for today's training, a monthly cadence where you are actually stepping up in ways to go, this is what is important for this month. This is what's important for us to complete. This is the growth we want to see. And this number, right? When you have clarity as the CEO, you're able to then delineate what strategic steps you should take in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. The other piece why it's so important to have some data points and some numbers is that numbers don't lie. Write that down in this training, is that 1 + 1 will always equal 2. So you may feel like, I'm getting out there. We're doing so many marketing tactics. We're networking so much. I'm networking so much. But in all intents and purposes, if you don't have a line item, right, as the business owner, which you are, as the business owner, to say, all right, but this is what our focus is. This is what we mean by let's get more exposure. Let's grow XYZ. Let's complete X amount of sales. You will never know if those strategies are working or not. So whenever I'm working with the client, I say, let's just start with some data-driven decisions, right? That's the importance of you tracking. Now, the tracking mechanism itself, whether it be paper, Excel, a CRM system, not just a point of sale system. I'm saying overall, operational steps and marketing opportunities that you are tracking. Okay. So I don't, the platform for me has never been the stopping point, and I don't think it needs to be for you. I think you need to rewire for 2025 why it's so important for you to step in to this next level of intentionality. Because if you can't track it, you're never going to know if it's working or not. And you're going to be activating things in your business or, taking things offline that you never know if that's actually was the direct correlation. And I know I talk in very, business terms and direct terms, but the encouragement is that this gives you clarity. A number will always give you clarity. We grew by this much. We had X amount of foot traffic. We closed X amount of products or services that were sold. It gives you a confidence because you know where you are heading. It also gives you a confidence if you know something isn't working, you can forecast that a lot earlier than the day before an event, or 3 days to closing, a launch or a, opportunity. You'll know where you're wanting to track the progress. Okay. So number one takeaway from today's video, and again, put in your comment section, is if you don't have a way to measure it, right? And again, the importance is, I don't care how you're tracking it, but on a monthly checkpoint where these become your milestones, these become your non-negotiables, to decide, is this working? How is this working? Are we at the percentage we thought we would be in our key performing indicators, our key performance indicators? Those are so important for you as a business owner. And most of us, when we start our business, we didn't know these things, right? Unless you have an MBA or unless you were, kind of taught or mentored in a very traditional business model, you don't always know a business structure of, as a CEO, what should I have on my dashboard, right? So this is why we're trading on this all month long. We're going to be talking about, if you cannot measure it, you cannot at all manage it. You don't know the finances, you can't manage the finances. You don't know how many points of engagement you have on social media or in networking or in speaking opportunities. You can't manage that for the next one. Okay. The second reason why it's so important that you track your progress, you track your matrix, is that you don't do one and dones. And I've said this in a lot of trainings, is that when you have a data point and you've only captured it once, let's say you've only done that event once, you only did that networking event once, you only did that sponsorship once, you only did that podcast the way that you positioned it once, that is only one data point that should be plotted. That is not the end goal in story, okay? Whenever you're going to start tracking and start figuring out, how am I doing in my sales? How am I doing in my marketing? How am I doing in my retention? How am I doing in my follow-up? Those 4 buckets are pretty important. If you don't know multiple data points, you don't have data at all. So when someone says, I've got one big number for the year, I'm like, it's a starting point, but we need something more on like the monthly cadence, okay? Or if you go to 5 networking events and 5 sponsorship opportunities, but you only tracked one, we actually don't know if all 5 of those have been working to your benefit and creating synergy and you positioning yourself as a thought leader if we only have one data point, okay? So data-driven decisions are not one and dones, okay? So when you launch something, when you engage in something, when you commit to something, when you sign up for that marketing opportunity, that way to get your name out there, that, joint venture or strategic partner, my encouragement is that you never sign up for just one and then try it. Because if you try it, guess what's going to happen? You won't know if it works, if it's sustainable. So always do something in a cadence of 3 or 5. Okay. Always. So when you say, I'm going to try this networking experience, I'm going to try this new marketing platform, I'm going to do this campaign, I'm going to do this launch, know that you're going to repeat it 3 or 4 or 5 times. Then you have 3, 4, 5, 6 data points that you can then make decisions and adjust accordingly to some of the things that worked and some of the things that didn't. Instead of you canning everything, starting over from scratch, building out something new, starting a brand new networking venture that you jump to every 4 months because it isn't working. Well, you may be just taking the things that aren't working and putting them in a new environment, right? But if you track what is working and what isn't working, you have incredible data, the 4-letter word of today's training, to know that I need to keep, duplicating this. I need to leverage this. I need to scale this part of whatever initiative you're starting or whatever campaign you're starting. That's the secret sauce. That's what's working for us. That's what's working for me. That's what's working for the clientele to stay engaged. But I'm going to just really encourage you. Most of us rate this or gauge this or track this based off of a lot of emotions, based off of day to day, based off of something that's just in these 6 inches. And I'm going to tell you, my only non-negotiable for how you track your data is it can't be in here. Okay. So if you want to do old school paper, if you want to do an Excel spreadsheet, if you want to get fancy on Trello, if you want to make sure that you are leveraging something that's in your CRM system, go at it, train yourself on it. But more importantly is start tracking that data now, because how cool would it be that in the last 3 years, you knew what was working to attract your clients. You knew what it was working to educate your clients. You knew where your dollars were best spent in terms of advertising, in terms of marketing, in terms of your time, and in terms of the platforms that worked best for you. And then you start to duplicate that. So what's really cool in the last part of this training is that once once you start figuring out data driven and you start just getting into the cadence of I track, right? I document, I track, I see where our data is. I don't freak out if we've met a goal or if we haven't met a goal. That's all just more data, right? That's not failure. That's more data to go, well, why did that one position better versus this one didn't? What were the factors in that? That type of critical thinking helps you align to go, when I do it again, because I don't do one and dones, I know how to position that differently. I need more lead time. I need to say this differently. I see that the audience was a different kind of demographics, or, the way that we positioned this opportunity was in a different way. And that seemed to capture the audience better and have a better conversion. But this language won't exist for you if you don't know what you are tracking and where these data points are coming from. If you just go, Connie, I had a really good month and I don't know why, and I had a really not so great month and I don't know why, you're going to just keep repeating that vicious cycle. Okay. So step back, really step back and figure out your 5 to 7 indicators that you want to track this month. Okay. It could be dollars. It could be use of your time. It could be retention, aka your churn rate. It could be new onboarding time. It could be whatever you want it to be at this point in the training, because next week will be a little bit more, tactical, right? But just grasping the idea is the purpose of this video for today. Is if you do not measure it, it cannot be managed. We can't make better decisions in February, in March, next year. You can't advise a team or a marketing opportunity to go, that is a fit, that isn't a fit, if you are just going off of arbitrary frameworks, or sometimes this works, sometimes this doesn't. Okay. So for you to scale a business, for you to feel confident in your business as a CEO, I can't encourage enough that start tracking, start getting to a cadence that every Friday, every other Friday, the last Friday of every month, you just know as the business owner, you're going to have your CEO dashboard. You're going to make sure that you are on trajectory, and you're going to make some assumptions to go, why is that working? Why isn't that working? We need to duplicate that because that just hit it out of the park. So let's do that 6 more times and see if the same thing happens, right? There may be some new data points that you get, but I'm going to take so much of the, I don't have time to track. And I'm just going to encourage you, you have ample amount of time to track, because you are doing so many different strategies that aren't working, that once you start tracking, here's like the sword, both sides of the sword kind of thing. What is it? Double-edged sword. Is that you say you don't have time to track, but you don't have time because you're doing so many things that aren't working. Okay. So really where I want to set the intention for the rest of January, and again, for this series, because every week, again, I do a training video to encourage and equip entrepreneurs, small business owners to not, develop their expertise. You all are doing that beautifully. You wouldn't be following the channel. You wouldn't be coaching with me if you weren't incredibly passionate about what your expertise is. Where I'm coming alongside, where I'm wanting to pour into investing in the skill set, the hard skill set, right, of owning a business, is the freedom you get by understanding your numbers. And I mean the dollars, I mean the engagement points, I mean the outreaches, I mean your consistency of appointments. That really is then a repeatable process from quarter to quarter or year to year. That is a business model. Okay. So whether you're a service-based business, whether you're a product-based business, I want to lean into the importance of you finally starting a year. And if it's 2025, amen. It's a great year. Or if you have been doing it and it's been haphazardly, or like I said, you're the business owner that I meet with, and you have 1 month of data out of the 12. And I'm like, it's a great starting point, but we can't make decisions off of just 1 month. We need at least 3, 4, 5 data points put together in a row so that you can find a trend. You can see, okay, consistently, this is not working. We should make a mindful shift. Or, all right, that wasn't a fluke. That just killed it. That killed it again. That worked again. We need to duplicate that in 6 other marketplaces. That is what data can do for you. So If you saw any value or wrote down copious amount of notes, make sure that you tell me what your favorite takeaway from today was. I always love to hear from my audience on what additional training videos, especially for this month where we're talking about tracking your progress, data driven decisions, really figuring out your key performance indicators and how do you build that in. So it's not something separate of your business. It's part of you working, not in your business, but on your business is a non-negotiable as a business owner and as a CEO. So if you want to see or get questions answered, please put that in the chat. I'm always happy to answer customized questions. And if you're interested in potentially coaching with me in a one-on-one capacity, my scheduling link is in the bio, is in the chat of this video. Happy to set up a 30-minute call to see if I would be a fit for you as a coach, to see what it would look like in terms of what your needs are in terms of strategy, marketing, sales, follow-up, retention, and most importantly, being able to scale your business so that you are living and walking and breathing the life that serves you best and your clients best and your family best. So I hope that you enjoyed this first kickoff of 2025. Again, all of January, this series is going to be all dedicated to data-driven decisions, tracking your matrices. You're going to you can't get enough. Okay. So please share this video with a colleague, a networking group, a professional association that would see value in hearing some of these tactics, wanting to get to know more. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know. All right. See y'all next week. Thanks so much for joining today. Bye.